And yesterday we met David McClure, who has been added to Taylor Jenkins' staff for the Grizzlies' upcoming season, and a returning member, Vitaly Potapenko, is here. And I see you around town. Obviously, you got the kids enrolled in school, and then there you were at Summer League and back on the staff again this year. First, since the season ended, what has Vitaly Potapenko's summer been like outside of Summer League, where we saw you?
Well, Chris, how you doing? Thanks for
Great.
having me. Thanks for having me on the show again. So since the season was over, we stayed here till end of the May. Kids had school until May 25th. So my wife and I will enjoy the spring, here in Memphis, and weekends with kids, get away. I mean, no, we didn't get away. We did a late trip one time on Easter weekend because it was a longer weekend. But we stayed around here, and it was beautiful. We enjoyed the beautiful blossoming trees around, Memphis area. We did cookouts on weekends, so it was great.
You like Memphis?
I love it.
You've got you. All right, give me three things that you now that you've been here for an extended amount of time, because you come here last year. It's in the middle of the season. You don't have time to do all that much. It's kind of all basketball. So this is probably the first time that you really got to check out Memphis or do things or have a free Saturday even, right? So what have you liked? Give me a couple of things.
So, three things. All right, we love Shelby Farms. We like that area because we're only 5-6 minutes away from there.
Perfect.
So we're biking more. We do cookouts more. We're more active with children. Second thing, food. We really found good restaurants, good cuisine here, diversified. Obviously barbecue. And, thanks to my wife, she's very social. We found a very good network of Russian-speaking people from former Soviet Union. So we developed some friendship, and we had fun weekends.
How do you find Russian people?
That's what my wife does. She's very good. Yeah, she's very social. So.
You say, hey, you speak Russian? Let's hang out, right?
Well, they have through Facebook, they have
gotcha.
Russian community in Memphis. They have all that, so she connects. Plus, a couple parents from school. They knew somebody. They knew somebody else, and that's how.
When you were talking about the food, this interests me. What do they eat where you're from?
So
what would be common foods?
Like something you'll be familiar with. A lot of meat. So we eat big steak, pork, lamb, big stuff. You know what I mean? Like that would
meat.
Be something similar here.
He keeps saying big stuff. You're talking like the steaks, but they're not dinky steaks. You eat monstrous steaks.
Yeah. I mean, not monsters, but good size. We have to go through harsh winter, so we need extra calories to stay warm.
So if somebody comes in town now, you say you found places that you like. Where would you take them out to eat?
Right, so East Memphis, it's definitely, forgot the names, the one good for like my cheat day pizza, this one place, I forgot what it's called, but the best.
What's it on?
It's off the Poplar.
Rockin' Dough?
No.
Rockin' Dough's all Poplar?
It's one of the Italian, Michael's.
Oh, Andrew Michael.
Hog and Hominy.
Yes.
That's our
Hog and
guys.
Hominy.
You love
bad thin crust pizza. My cheat day, I get thin crust pizza there.
What a great endorsement for Hog and Hominy. You know what's crazy? One of our international players, nobody loved and endorsed Hog and Hominy more than Beno Udre.
Yeah,
he was there every night.
And there's another place right across the street. Another place. I think they.
Andrew Michael. Italian
exactly,
Kitchen.
Yeah.
That's
we
the pasta place.
Pasta place, the best. Gnocchi, right?
Yes.
Gnocchi. Oh, we're fine. And I think I told you last year, I told my wife, oh my God, it'd be only fried food here, barbecue, but it's great. We enjoy it.
All right, so you've had a good time in Memphis, and then you fast forward, they nail it in terms of getting the lottery pick. They end up with Ja Morant, number 2. Now, while we did not get to see him in Summer League, we did see the other draft pick win the MVP of the Summer League, and you were part of this staff. And I'm fascinated to hear what you think. As the league has evolved, somebody like Vitaly Potapenko was on a roster for a long time because you needed not one, you needed a backup 7-footer and then maybe even a third center on a lot of these teams. Now, the league has evolved to where they talk, totally logically about, hey, Brandon Clark might play some 4, he might play some 5. And so as someone who is the big man instructor and changing the way you teach with the evolving league, if you can't just speak to Brandon and kind of how he fits, and then that whole dichotomy of here's what you were in the league as a backup center, whereas now even at 6'7", 6'8", Brandon Clark can be a center in the NBA.
I definitely, I agree with you. Game changes, and he's the guy who he does brings you a different look for lineups as the coach, because with him, you can play him at the 4 with the bigger lineup or with the smaller lineup. Like you said, he can play at the 5. Obviously, the pace with his athleticism, his ability to change ends fast, he can bring the pace up into the game.
Yeah, and in terms of teaching big guys now, has that changed completely with you? Because when you start off, leaving the league and you start off as an instructor within the league, being a big man coach meant here's my footwork, here's where you need to get it to me on the block, and here's my post moves. Guys aren't even practicing post moves. I mean, they are now shooting corner threes as big men. Yeah. So your role in teaching big men and how that has changed even over the course of the last, say, 3 years.
Well, I mean, obviously, like when you look at how you want to prepare guys of season, the head coach's system, like what kind of offense he's gonna run, where they're gonna get the shots from, and then you alter workouts where he's gonna be able to make plays or get the shots. But overall, I think just adding what you say, game change. Now big men not become only left or right block guy. Now they have to do everything: pass, dribble, make plays, and the shooting become big key. With every, I think from 1 through 5 it's important, but especially for 4s and 5s, they have to be able to shoot, especially 3s.
Could you play right now?
I would to get more shooting. Like I would get more shooting 3s. Especially corner 3s.
How many do you think you took in your career?
12. 13?
Check it, Roser. How many did he take?
I bet. Yeah.
You think you took 12, and that's like end of the shot clock, maybe?
I tried. Hey, one time was winning. I look at the line, and but I missed it. But I had the rebounder to kick it to Wesley Person, and Wesley made it. We won a game too.
Is that right?
12.
Is that true?
I told you. Yeah.
No way.
No.
Oh.
You took 6 in your career. 6 threes. 6 threes total in your career. 1 for 6.
He remembers.
1 for 6.
What was do you remember the one you hit?
No.
It was your rookie year. Your rookie year, you were 1 or 2 from 3.
Wait.
I played 11 seasons. I shot at 1, like half a 3 season.
You made. He said 6, and you don't even remember the one you made.
No, I don't.
I mean, now, like you watch even like the Eastern Conference Finals. Brook Lopez take like 10 threes in a game. It's crazy. It's crazy the way the game has changed so much. And that would that have been Fratello? Your rookie year?
Mike Fratello was my,
How did he not? He probably pulled you out of the game. Unless it was end of the shot clock.
Yeah, maybe. I don't
We
remember.
need to find the Vitaly 3. Maybe it's on YouTube or something.
Game was different then.
I know.
I played with Jonas, Sean Kemp, my rookie year, Tyron Hill. Think about Tyron Hill shooting 3s. Like, come on. It's like, no way.
Right. But now, when you see, what do you remember about playing for Fratello then, and then kind of things that you have taken away? I know a lot of the people that played for Mike here. There were a lot of young players on his team that I remember. He ends up leaving here, and they came to me later and said, I did not realize what good a coach he was until he was gone, because I hated him at the time so much I couldn't see past how, because he can be abrasive, but he was very, very prepared and very good at teaching. And a lot of, I think, young guys, it was just the personality that was the clash, and they didn't necessarily realize at the time, like, man, this guy is really good at teaching the NBA. I can only imagine it had a profound effect on you as that being your first teacher within the NBA and then leading into coaching.
Chris, I agree with you, and those players are right. I hated Mike at the time, same thing. We clashed heads a few times. I don't mind personality, like coming from Soviet system of sports, and especially youth. It was tough. It was like almost like a prison, everything like regimented. We had no let goes or let ups, So I wasn't new for me. Discipline, it just was him, like, because he has such a vast knowledge of the NBA game, professional game. That helped me. That helped me a lot. Having him as my coach, for rookie coach. Well, as a rookie player, I have my
right.
As a head coach, he helped me a lot. Always like his preparation, details, especially defensively. There's no gray areas. It's still kind of always imprinted in my mind. Helps me prepare as a coach. And even one time, I remember I always kind of was bigger guy, and I really gained weight. I maybe gained like extra 6-8 pounds, and he set me down. He said, listen, just to survive in this league, you got to be in good shape. And it's kind of, it made me think about, forget the skills and basketball, but just to be ready to play every game, you got to be in better shape. So he was really helpful for me, in the beginning of my career.
Who do you find yourself thinking about the most, coaching-wise? Like guys that truly had an impact on you, because anybody that goes into any profession, they are going to think about who they wanted to emulate or who comes to mind the most regarding what their profession is now.
Luckily for me, just being a player, being coached as a player by a lot of good coaches and working along the side, some coaches now, I wouldn't say like I have one particular person I would want to be like, but because, you switch jobs so much, yeah. I try to take the best from each person. Like my youth coach, I had a great youth coach when I was in Ukraine. A couple of things that still I remember from him. Then coached by Mike Fratello, then, Rick Pitino, Jim O'Brien, all these guys, Nate McMillan, all these guys, I still remember little things from each of them. Even the quotes are sometimes used for players where I coach now.
Pitino didn't mess around about being in shape. He was maniacal, right?
I got in shape quickly with him.
There were guys like Chris Wallace, who used to be, the former GM of the Grizzlies. He used to tell us he worked in the front office with him, and he made everybody in the front office lose weight. Now, he bought them all like an Armani suit when they did, but that he refused to allow anybody to be out of shape that was even in the facility. And I was like, oh, my God.
Well,
incredible.
Professional sports. You got to be in best shape to perform. And,
right.
And I think he made most out of the guys in that regard.
When you were talking about growing up and playing Ukrainian basketball, right? And you said it's almost like a prison. Everything was so regimented. Yeah. Did it feel like, did you ever consider, I don't even remember at the time what things were like. Was there anybody that was coming over and playing American college at the time? Was that something that you thought about doing prior to going to the NBA? Because now it is just so common for international players to be throughout. At your timeline, how many? I mean, God, there couldn't have been that many in the league, right?
Just
international players,
just
a few.
A few guys, a few guys. Like the one thing I kind of, but I really be able to play against, American athletes on the college level. I was 15, 16. We played some junior college teams. And then we had in the summer was a travel team. I forgot from where, from the States. Mm-hmm. I think it was Division I, like a little bit, like somewhere, lower ranked Division I school came and played some of the club teams in Ukraine. So that really stood out for me. Just again, the athletes, the speed of the game,
right?
How skilled they were, But I think for me it was everything: the speed of the game and physicality. That really stood out. And I was like, man, I mean, it's different basketball there. Because the one thing you can watch on TV, but then, just to be able to experience this when you compare yourself and playing with somebody else on that level, it makes a difference.
Who found you?
Ralph Underhill, yeah, he passed away, but head coach Wright State, he came to Ukraine, and he offered me a scholarship. So thanks to Ralph Underhill and Wright State coach and staff,
Right.
Wright State University in Fairborn, Ohio.
How did he find you?
He was open at the time. It was in the 90s. He had a guy before from Holland, a big guy center from Holland, and he had then he had a player from Great Britain. I played with him, Great Britain. So he was open to international players. And I think he likes travel. He likes travel overseas. So he was like, he didn't mind.
Was there somebody that you played with overseas that never came to the NBA that you thought could have been a great player?
Yeah, we had a couple guys. We had two guards. One guy was really good, lefty, I remember. Very good two guard, very athletic, fearless. He would remind you of Marcellonis. Not as physical, but somebody like Marcellonis. You remember Sharon Marcellonis?
And he played in the Ukraine, this guy?
Yeah, played in Ukraine. He was really from, big in his hometown. They had a good team, but he was kind of like, he wouldn't, risk it to go play somewhere overseas. He felt very, he was a celebrity at home, so he felt very comfortable.
Okay, so now as the summer and everything gets changed over within this organization, you carry over and are going to be a part of Taylor's staff. Mm-hmm. You come in, I can imagine, meet with Taylor initially, and what are those conversations like with him? And had you had any previous awareness of him? Had you guys crossed paths before, or known each other, or known mutual people? And then kind of what the conversation was like at the start, where you're here, obviously want to still be a part of what the Grizzlies are doing here, but there's a new head coach.
We never really met officially, Taylor and I, but we played a lot in postseason when he was with the Hawks as assistant, and I was with Cleveland. So we played in postseason, couple seasons in playoffs versus Hawks. So kind of just seeing him on the other side, I knew who he was. Conversations here, he had a lot on his plate, obviously. Before the summer league, we had a short time, but mostly we just, him and I, we get to know each other. We talk about on a personal level basketball. He asked about players from last season, and mostly was just preparation for the summer league camp and the summer league.
I know you had to be excited about the re-signing of Valanciunas because he came over last year after the trade, and he was dynamite for the Grizzlies. And we really never got to see him and Jaren together.
I think, he's definitely going to bring some stability to the team. A guy who's a, 7-footer, legit 7-footer, good basketball player. He brings you definitely defensive presence, rebound, inside scoring. I think it would be good to have him for the young core of the group, like Ja, Jaren, Brandon, other younger guys, because, again, he's still young. He's only, 26, 27, but he's already experienced young player. So he's definitely going to be good addition to have the core and building around the team.
All right, if Jaren makes the big leap, why? Why does he make what is it going to take for him to make a big leap in this second year?
What it's going to take? I told you last year, with him, just day at a time, because, second year, team's going to adjust to him. They're going to be Donovan Mitchell went through the same thing, great rookie year, second year start, already teams knows what he can do. So I think with him, patience, obviously, he did a great job recovering after his injury, great summer, and get back just one day at a time. And I think, don't worry about setting goals, get better. He just need to, kind of grow more organically.
Have you seen Morant?
In summer league, yeah. Summer league.
Because he was getting to at least play a little bit with the team. Freaky athleticism.
Well, I didn't see him like play with the team, but I saw him, just his highlights and stuff. So.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because he was like, I mean, he was around. I remember we ran into him in Vegas. He was like, we were like, "You having fun?" He's like, "No, I'm 19.
Yeah.
I can't do anything in Vegas." But now you team him up, and it seems as if him and Jaren have become fast friends, which is a good thing. And as you mentioned, having Jonas around as someone who is a veteran leader, along with Jay Crowder and some other guys that have been added to the roster, like good, solid. Kyle will be back inevitably. I mean, good, solid guys. And you could speak to how important it is when you've got young, even possible stars, up-and-coming guys, to have, like, real pros in the locker room.
Jaren, again, his output of his work ethic is unbelievable. For a 19-year-old, he's not satisfied, which is great. You want that from a young guy. Again, just with him, it's a process. Got to trust in his process of development. Josh seemed like very intelligent player, and he's a true point guard. He's a natural point guard, which is great. His ability to score and pass the ball. And again, like you said, you had other guys, like Brandon Clark, what shows in summer league. His mortar is unbelievable. So it's good to have those young guys with those work ethics and wanted to get better. That's, it's very promising future.
I'll tell you this, Vitaly. You may not know when it was or remember it at all, but I am finding that clip of the three.
Oh, I've been researching.
Come on.
And?
April 4th, 1997, at the Chicago Bulls is when you have it. Now, they have videos on YouTube. Two of the videos you can find of your highlights are against the Bulls. Now, one of them is from 1998 in Cleveland. They have one from the 96-97 season when you have your three-pointer. They have your highlight package. The problem is it's from the December 28th game in Chicago and not the April 4th. But I will say, watching these videos, Dennis Rodman didn't want none of you.
Oh!
You gave Dennis Rodman, that's one of the best defenders of all time, and you gave him some work.
You were giving Dennis Rodman work?
But there's one on this.
Hey, this is probably what you say to these guys. Right? When they start disrespecting you there, when they start like getting some buckets on you, say, go pull up YouTube. Yeah. Go look what I did to Dennis Rodman.
You went from the left corner,
drove
left baseline, spin back right on Rodman with a little baby hook in the paint.
He didn't want any, huh, Vitaly?
Dennis Rodman didn't want any.
Hey, you know what I mean? I think they were doubling me on the post. That I had like 5 assists. They were doubling me, so hey, ultimate compliment, right?
And there's another one. I think it was Jason Caffey guarding you.
Wait, hold on now. It's a 98 Bulls?
In 96, 97. So, yeah, this is the middle of their 3-year run. Yeah.
There you go. And that's when he hit the three?
Yeah.
Damn.
95, 96, 96, 97, 97, 98.
That's a shame.
Last 3 Bulls
doesn't even remember it. Can you still dunk?
Dude, I had like 9 dunks all my career. No.
Yeah, there's one of them I thought you were going to dunk it on here and you didn't
10.
dunk it.
Yeah. I had 6 threes, 10, 9
That's
dunks.
not true. Well, you're a giant.
Yeah, but dude, come on. I'm like, I'm not a leaper,
There's one highlight on here. You catch the ball, trailing the play. You catch the ball at the top of the key, wide open from 3, and I'm thinking, this is it.
This is it.
But you take the step in from 15 feet and bury it.
Hey, Mike Fratello would definitely pull me out. He takes 3 in transition.
If you took a transition 3. That is too good. Vitaly Potapenko, assistant coach for the Grizzlies. You only got a couple more weeks to go to Shelby Farms, hang out with Russian-speaking people, and eat big steaks or eat pasta, gnocchi, and whatever else, because it's right. I mean, got the preseason schedule already, and it is right around the corner, right?
Vitaly, I've been to a steakhouse with this guy. He will order the petite filet.
Oh, stop.
I've seen it.
Oh, hold on. Now.
I get the ribeye, and I'm like, this thing better be a 16-ounce ribeye, or we're not even talking here.
I guarantee Vitaly's a bone-in guy, aren't you?
You're a bone-in ribeye?
You're like Fred Flintstone steaks.
Those ribeye, I go with ribeye, no bone. I don't like to mess around.
I'm
always looking for 18 ounces, for sure.
Yeah.
18 ounces.
They're tough to find. Sometimes you got to settle for a 16er, but.
Enjoy the rest of the summer. You don't have long, right? Thanks to Vitaly Potapenko. Thanks to Devin Walker. Thanks to John Roser.